Today is my so-called day off. Of course, I'm going to be speaking with some new colleagues, also with a client, Eric, who has marked up stuff from permitting that's coming by, as well as some new project that's going to be fun talking to him at 11. That'll be nice. As I was walking to work, something that Michael Knowles said, everybody understands that Michael knows everything. I like listening to him. I agree with him 30% of the time, but 100% of the time I enjoy listening to him. And so Knowles had a little thing that there was a clip from 2012 that's been making the rounds, some news show that Aaron Sorkin wrote, and it's from 2012, and people are saying the whole point is, no, America was not great, and it's a scene where it's a bunch of news media people in a symposium at some university. It's set in 2012, and this guy, it's written, Aaron Sorkin was born in 1961. This is important. So this is a scene written by an older end Gen Xer. Now, I'm about probably in the mouth of a boomer character. I think this is less important. It's obviously touched a nerve in people. That's very important. It's touched a nerve, but I'm less interested in debating whether America was great or when America was great. I think it's somewhat of a ridiculous question to make it a yes-no situation, and people fight about their own passionate things, and it becomes a Rorschach test. I think what is important to look at me, and it struck a nerve in me, is what this says about how we treat ourselves as fellow citizens and how we see ourselves as a nation, and in what way. This was written in 2012, so one of the things, and there's a link in the description if you want to actually see the whole thing. I'll play a little bit of a clip of the audio here while we're going, of what I think is the most salient part, which people aren't necessarily talking about. Now, this was, he goes on about, oh, America's not great, this and that, and one thing that really rings hollow is when he says, oh, it was very much behind the times. It was done in 2012, but it is as if it was written for 2004. Because when he says, oh, the liberals can't win and this and that, in 2012, that makes absolutely no sense. Obama was in the middle of either, depending on when in 2012 you are, either in the middle of getting reelected to his second term or running for his second term. And healthcare had already been passed in 2012. The whole idea that liberals can't win. For heaven's sake, Stephen Colbert made a point in 2008 about making a show about how, oh, the conservatives have lost, I'm so sad. And then an Uncle Sam caricature gives him a pep talk in a taxi cab. It was a funny scene, a touching scene, back when Colbert was funny. But it's, all that aside, what really strikes me is the unmitigated bile that is being vented, and in the way, I mean, obviously who am I to speak about venting bile, but it is upon whom it is vented and in what way it is vented. So I got this queued up. Hopefully the audio is not going to blast you. Trigger warning. I'm not editing this real sophisticatedly because I literally have other things to do today, so this is live mixing. Here we go.
Sorority girl. Just in case you accidentally wander into a voting booth one day, there's some things you should know. One of them is there's absolutely no evidence to support the statement that we're the greatest country in the world. We're 7th in literacy,
Immigration
27th
numbers.
in math, 22nd in science, 49th in life expectancy, 178th in infant mortality, 3rd in median household income, number 4 in labor force, and number 4 in exports. We lead the world in only 3 categories: number of incarcerated citizens per capita, number of adults who believe angels are real, and defense spending, where we spend more than the next 26 countries combined, 25 of whom are allies. Now, none of this is the fault of a 20-year-old college student, but you nonetheless are, without a doubt, a member of the worst generation, ever, period. So when you
Worst generation ever. So Sorkin, I guess, Simpsons did it. Sorkin is ripping off comic book guy for whatever reason in 2012.
What makes us the greatest country in the world? I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Yosemite?
Ooh, nasty language.
Sure used to be.
Here comes the nostalgia.
You stood up for what was right.
The nostalgia of Xers who wish they were old enough to truly experience the 60s, this unmitigated frustration of the Xers that they couldn't have been there.
We sacrificed. We cared about our neighbors. We put our money where our mouths were, and we never beat our chest. We built great big things, made ungodly technological advances, explored the universe, cured disease, and we cultivated the world's greatest artists and the world's greatest economy.
What about AIDS, Aaron?
We reached for the stars.
Cured diseases.
Acted like men. We aspired to intelligence. We didn't.
I mean, acted like men. That's an interesting one. What does that mean? You know, one thinks of. I'm surprised that Knowles didn't bring up Don Corleone. You can act like a man. What are you doing? You come on the day my daughter's to be married. No, Knowles loves quoting that, and he didn't do it. Acting like men. I don't know what this means in this context. There has certainly been a real lack of masculine responsibility. I'll put it that way. All right, but enough screwing around. Why did Sorkin feel the need to write a boomer being an absolute ponce jerk to a perfectly nice 20-year-old young woman, and probably because she's pretty, be a jerk to her, which happens in life, you know, it's kind of terrible sometimes. Myself, and then you have to think about the people who are supposed to be what ages when. So the young college people in this would be dead center age millennials. If this is 2012, if this is 2012 and she's 20, she would have been born in 1992. So it's supposed to be boomers calling the millennials the worst generation ever. Okay, I don't know what anybody else's my truth is, but I never experienced any boomers acting that way, ever. This character is supposed to be a boomer. It's written by an Xer. The character is acting like I have observed Xers to behave, especially recently. You know, there's the whole comedy bit. I think this is part of why it's touching a nerve, because it's getting into some generational resentments that this bit of fiction that was culture avant la lettre was someone who was putting his sentiment of the way that he felt about something, Aaron Sorkin being an Xer, Aaron Sorkin despising young people to a certain degree. And there's a bit of generational projection there about the worst ever and everything, to some degree, probably. But this is just, I've said this to a friend of mine recently, and I guess I'll wrap it up because I have another video to make and I have things to edit. But this just really struck me. What was I going to say? That when parents, I don't think millennials, we'll see what millennials are like as parents. I don't think it's become a cultural critical mass yet. I don't think it's going to be like what we're seeing with this odd bitterness that some Xers, not all, there are some Xers who are very genuinely caring people, very creative people. And there are some of them in that generation who are just extremely cynical, bitter, and don't really feel anything except laughing at irony to cover up some kind of pain that they won't want to admit that they have. And they think that laughing in that cynical way makes them smart or sophisticated. And then they will say nasty things about their own children. And that, I don't think that makes them look smart. I don't think that makes them look sophisticated. I've heard some person say, "Oh yeah, families are messed up. That's the way things should be." Haha. There's an actual person actually saying that about their own family. I would say that's sad if it surprised me. Now I just say that it's unfortunate and it's not correct. Yeah, this kind of attitude of tearing down the young doesn't make someone look smart or sophisticated. It makes someone look like a failure. It makes someone look incapable of handling a leadership position. So, so guess what? All those people who are resentful about the young, maybe it's because the young actually are smarter than they are, and instead of seeing it as a benefit, they're scared. I think that's what it is. I ruined a little bit of the surprise on Guess My Pipe. This is a plain old Missouri Meerschaum Cobb. You've seen this one before if you watch my channel. Inside of that is Lane BCA, a sweet, low-strength pipe at the moment. And that's my usual. That is 1 bag of Irish breakfast and 1 bag of green tea. I don't really vary from that lately, with honey. It's local foothill honey from somewhere. Honey's important. That's enough rambling from me. 12 minutes about 2012, eh? Thanks for listening.